Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Sim Shack. Welcome to me, Sim UK. I hope that you're well. Good morning, Stewie. Hello, Sailor. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. How are you today, mate? I hope you're well. Today, I'm going to practice a route from Cardiff back to Poole. I reckon you could do it in 2 days, but 3 days, I think, is a safer expectation. Especially seeing as I'm a bit of a rusty sailor at best. I haven't sailed really for about 20 years. Um, but the only game available on the market that can really sort of realistically do this is Sailaway 2 Pro, which I'm playing today. Here I am, docked in Cardiff, ready to go, excited to start my journey. And this is a real journey that I'll be taking if I win bid that I've made on a boat. So I'll have to do this for real a couple of weeks' time if I win. So that's the point of doing this today, is for me to have a bit of a practice, showcase Sailaway, which, by the way, is about to release Sailaway 3. I'm hoping that collisions and physics have been vastly improved. At the moment, this is the most games. It's more like an arcade game than it's dated, despite what they might try and tell you. But in addition to that, I'm going to be using something Savvy Navi on my phone. So I'm just planning a route on there. Now, one of the things I'm curious about is whether or not the tidal information is going to be accurate in the game. Yeah, and just clear my boat. So this is where the boat is stored. Got to create a route here. We're going to do it in parts. We're going to sail from Cardiff to, I think that was my boat bottoming out there. Sail from Cardiff to St Ives. Stomping ground. No. Gonna try very hard to round the lizard. I'm gonna try and do it all realistically, so I'm not gonna stop simulation. If it gets dark, I'll have to sail in the dark. If it gets windy, I'll have to sail in the wind. Kind of good stuff. Now, you can see these little numbers here, or hopefully you can. 1.8 is the information there, and I think this boat has a depth of 1.4 or something. This boat is fairly similar to the boat that I'm actually planning on buying. So 25 foot. Same as the boat I'm buying, and I think the depth on it is pretty similar as well. A bit difficult doing these controls with a touchpad, but trying to plan the route to stay as close to the coast as I possibly can. So move to somewhere like that. I'm going to aim to. Too close to the coast. We don't want to hit it or anything like that. Times like this where I wish I had a proper mount. So, got to just put the last couple of markers in here. Hopefully we can get out. Now the game has a bit of a feature where I can ignore the true depth of, see here, 0.6. Obviously collision warning there of something. Now I can't sail in 0.6, but I can click this button here and override shallow issue. Now according to Savvy Navi, it should be 2.9. See, look, it says I've run aground even. I'm going to put my butt. Right. Turn that off. Ignore the depth situation until we get out of the harbour. According to this, it should be 4.9 and 2.9 in this bay right now. So the game is not accurate. We'll just have to do as is. I'll be playing on a controller today, Xbox controller. Kind of makes the game a little bit more realistic, but it's not really designed to do that. So whilst I can move around and look about, as soon as I touch any of the sails, it kind of pauses, it turns off the controller for a second or two, so a bit annoying, but that's what we are. And I'm not sure if I can get any of these winches hooked up and working or not. Don't seem to be attached to anything. Alright. Let's do it. We need to head this way. The wind is not exactly in our favour, but the wind has turned. Might be alright. Try and navigate this very shallow area. Main halyard up, which is the main sail. Moaning at me when I get control of the controller. Position myself at the front of the boat. See where we're going. Alright, we are underway, boys and girls. So the beauty of doing it on a controller is I don't need to look at the line I want to adjust. I've got that configured. Yeah, I do that on the computer on a keyboard as well, but I just think, you know, having the ability to walk around and enjoy the lovely scenery, he says, unintended. Looks nothing like Cardiff, obviously. But, you know, in the game's defence, it would be a huge project to get anything sort of remotely realistic. As this game covers the entire planet, and it's more about the ocean. I think it could be slightly better, and I'm hoping Sailaway 3 will be, but I'd really like it if Microprose Flight Simulator could get something these lines, some sort of sailing simulator on the go. Right, 3.4 knots. Slow enough for me to navigate these quite shallow waters. As soon as we get out into the bay area. Turn off the override for the depth, and we'll sailing using the map / chart as best we can. If I run aground, I run aground. I've been reading a lot about sailing, obviously. In preparation for getting my first boat and sailing it home. One of the things that worries me more than anything else is they say when you run aground, and you will round. Will I? I don't want to. I want to avoid running aground at all costs. That sounds horrible. Definitely not something I want to do. But apparently it's something all sailors do. Easily done. And you have to look at the Isle of Wight to see how easily done it is. Look, you can see my controller. I did hook this up, by the way. But unfortunately, this game is quite limited in terms of controller support. And it just saw this controller and the one in my hand as exactly the same controller, so overrode setting. Alright, this is not going to be an action-packed, fun-filled experience. Good morning, Devon. How are you today? Morning to you, sir. Tell me, have you done any sailing yourselves, guys? Any experience in the art of sailing by wind? And I just love the whole theory and the whole, you know, the history behind using the wind to navigate the world. I just think it's absolutely such a glorious exercise. A wonderfully, brilliantly exposed opportunity in the world. I quite like it if we got rid of those big ocean liners. The ocean line, like the cargo transport started shipping stuff via sailboat again. I think that would be phenomenal. You'd think the eco warriors would be totally behind that as an option. Alright, what are we doing? We're doing about 2.5 knots. That's pretty slow. Everything is good. Good morning, James. Ahoy. How are you, sir? Thank heaven Storm Beryl has moved on. Indeed. I went and sailed in that yesterday in this game. But it was pretty dark. And weirdly enough, the video that I uploaded is like 10 times darker than it was on my PC. I don't think anyone could actually see anything. I'm going to just ease off this mainsail a bit, get a bit more speed. We should, in fair weather, be aiming to sail at about 5 knots in this boat, which again is eerily similar to boat I'm looking to buy. So this is going to be a really good precursor to actually sailing that route and bringing that boat home. A good practice run for. And I will, of course, be live streaming that whole experience. Well, not live streaming because I don't think I'll have enough battery power. But I will be recording it and uploading bits and maybe live streaming short elements of it. Who knows? I need to get over there, time it, so that I don't catch the shore on the left or catch the shore on the right. Starboard. Oops. Have to get habit of staying. That'll help the heel of the boat a little bit. Bring it down to 30 degrees, which is far more palatable. 20 degrees is sort of cruising angle. That's what I'm aiming for. Here we go. Out into Cardiff Bay. We've actually got quite a positive wind coming in. I might even think about bringing up the jib. See if we can't get a bit of pace out there. If the wind is in your favour, you might as well use it. Nice. Now we're doing 6 knots. A nice increase in speed. Like that. Just noticed my flag is not the right flag. Okay, we're on track. Sailing now, boys and girls. Yeah. Hey, Techno. How you doing, buddy? I am well, thank you. You're on holiday in Eyemouth. Where the hell's at Eyemouth? Now choking to hire a fishing boat to do a bit of sea fishing. Awesome. That's very cool. Oh, man. I hope to see some pictures of your catch. That's a thing I might be able to do. I mean, I'll be totally honest. I'm quite nervous about the fact that I'm going to be sailing a boat solo from Cardiff to Poole. A boat I don't know, in an area I don't know. Having not sailed IRL. I've sailed once, actually, I tell a lie. I did sail last year, 50-foot sailboat down the Solent. So, I've been out there and experienced it. But I haven't exactly been in charge of the boat. When I say exactly, I mean at all. So, whilst I'd like to think maybe I'd do a bit of spotter fishing whilst I'm sailing, the chances are I probably won't. I'll be too nervous. I'll be too anxious. We went out on the boat at Arbroath before. It was amazing. Bet it was. Hope the weather's good. It's obviously off the back of Merrill. Maybe the weather's a bit shoddy. Hopefully nobody suffered the consequences. Merrill. Fingers are crossed. No, a couple of people did die. Yes, day before yesterday. I'm hoping nobody died yesterday. Want to see some pictures, Techno? Living the dream. Trying to zoom in and see where the hell the exit point is here. Supposed to be a bridge over there, but it looks like it's not there. According to my savvy navvy. So the tide is going out at 0.7 knots. So seem to tell me what the tidals. According to this, the current is 0 knots. Well, that's not accurate. I trust Savvy Navy. Trust this. Woohoo! I did try and hook these up as well. I thought it'd be really cool if I had different sheets on different controllers, so you can adjust them, you know, to whatever you want. I thought that'd be really cool. But unfortunately, Sailaway just had a complete spack attack. He didn't like it at all, so fell over. The wind is crazy. I'm not surprised. Yeah, mate, please do. Pop a few pics in Discord. I'd love to see it, man. Especially if you catch something. And I'm sure you will. What kind of fish are you going to be fishing for it? Ah, nice and relaxing. For me, this is the key reason for trying to get boat, yacht. When does a boat become a yacht? Is that like an industry agreed size or weight something? When does a boat become a yacht? I have no idea. But anyway, yeah. I mean, one of the main reasons for doing this is for my health. So, an opportunity to get out of the shed, get out of the sim shack, and actually get out into some fresh air. Quite manually. I mean, there are times where you just sat steering and relaxed, but a lot of hard physical work sailing as well. Looking forward to the challenge of getting out of the house. But yeah, one of the key problems with anxiety is not being able to relax. One of the easiest ways for me to relax is when I'm at sea. Just so tranquil, so refreshing. It's unbelievable. I'm hoping that works. Put a couple up, and you'll add more if you get out on the boat. Okay, well, fingers crossed then. The weather will settle down a bit for you. Let's have a look on it. Phone properly. Oh wow, look at this. What a place. That's a hell of a bridge entrance. That's nice. Lovely. That's well nice. That's Eyemouth, is it? Remember, I'm still... Don't get too distracted. Right, I'm a bit nervous about this because I can't see an exit point. Let me just get out of the port and I'll have a proper look at these pictures. Okay, maybe there's a gap there. Gonna be interesting. Right, I'm gonna pull these sails in. That's not a good idea. What I want to do, ease them so that the boat comes up. There we go. That's what we want. Slow it down. Slow it down. Put in just a little bit because that noise is annoying me. Oh, it's going to be tight. What are we doing? 3.3 knots. Do say in a tight, dangerous situation, don't go any faster than you want to hit something. Damn it, we're up to 5.5 knots. Okay, I can do. As soon as we turn, we should lose the wind anyway. That's a very small gap to it. I'm even tilting my head. I tilted my head to look around the sail. Kind of funny. The immersion is real, people. The immersion is real. This is the trickiest bit. According to this, the depth here is 0.4 meters, so 40 centimeters in depth. Bloody hell. So we're overriding that in the game because it's not accurate. Savvy Navi is telling me that the depth here should be 2.4 meters right now. It's enough for our boat to get out, but only just. And I said to the guy, are there any serious considerations I need to take into account? He said, yeah, the wind and the tide. Okay, thank you. Fully understood. Right, we're through the scariest bit. Look at that. What do they call this? Butterfly? I can't remember what they call this. You've got one sail one way and the other sail the other way. That's pretty cool. Can't wait for the first time I actually do that in real life. Right. Sort of chillax a little bit now. Take a look at these cool pictures. Techno. Oh yes, I meant to reply to you, mate. Yeah, I'm well up for doing multiplayer. I was so tired yesterday, man. I couldn't function properly. What a lovely place. I've never heard of Eyemouth or Eyemouth. It's like a lovely place to go. Stunning. It doesn't look that windy in the pictures, mate, I have to say. It's putting weird links on. Right, we are officially sailing. As soon as we go round this buoy here, into proper deep water. Although it's still saying 0.7, so we'd still be running aground even here. Game. Look what those boys over there are doing. Bit of a scrap. Right. Here we go. If we can't get some proper speed up here. Wow, look at that heel. That's 30 degrees of heel straight away. But we are doing 6 knots. That is good for a little boat like this. Those telltales facing the way they're meant to. Looking good. So we're getting 14 knots of wind today. A southeasterly direction, which is ideal for us. Well, semi-ideal. Should be able to make good progress. So the target today is to head down to Ives and then anchor up in the bay at St Ives. Hopefully we'll be safe there for the night, and then I'll come in and have a look tomorrow morning. See if we can't do the next leg, which will be round to Plymouth. We'll be coming round the Lizard, braving those waters. And technically, at that point, and this scares me in real life, we'll be sailing the Atlantic Ocean. Technically, though we'll be hugging the British shoreline as much as possible. My theory is I'd very much like to be within swimming distance of the shore the entire time. That's the plan. One of the cool things that comes with this boat, and you know, this is every chance in the world that I won't get it. One of the cool things is that it comes with a rib. I will, however, have to buy an outboard. But should push come to shove and everything goes horribly wrong, we'll have a second boat, technically, to escape on. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. Hoping we don't get anywhere near that sort of kind of scariness. But yes. It was really windy yesterday, and today, to be honest, the sun's out. But it was raining a wee while ago. Good old British weather, that is. Does concern me as well. If it's absolutely lashing it down, I'm the only person on the boat, so I'm going to get absolutely saturated. I'm going to take the emergency supplies, which I've been told, number one emergency supply on a boat is hot chocolate. Coffee, obviously that's going to be essential. There is a bit of a galley in the boat. I believe it's fully functional. Looks to be fully functional. Looks like a very clean boat, actually. The guy who owns it has been very much. So, yeah, I'll take some baked beans, maybe baked beans with sausages if I'm feeling a bit fly. Right, we're out into, according to the game, 3 meters of water. So from this point on, I can turn off the depth override thing. We can actually do some proper sailing. So apparently depth under keel right now is 2.8 meters. 2.6, 2.5, 2.4. That's depth under keel, so that's good. We can sail in that. .4. Not very deep out here. It's surprising. IRL, it's not that deep either. Let's go back to. Let's have a quick look on windy.com. Zoom into Swansea and Cardiff. So according to this, according to windy.com, the wind is coming from the west. Not from a southeasterly direction at all. So, oh no, hang on. That is coming from the west. Oh, it's because I'm heading south. Right, of course. That makes sense. So the wind is actually coming from a... Oh, it's picking up a bit. Wind is picking up a bit. So yeah, it is coming from a southwesterly / westerly direction because the boat's travelling south. I'm hoping you can hear that wind. Kind of scary. So, yeah, the wind is actually coming from exactly the wrong direction. So we're going to have to tack our entire way down here. That's definitely going to slow us down. If the wind is like this tomorrow, that'll be perfect though. We'll round the Lizard and then we'll be home dry. We can downwind it the whole way. Be awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna have to work a little bit hard today. Savvy navvy. I'm not sure about Savvy Navvy. It looked pretty good when I sort of opened it and first looked at it. I thought maybe, you know, this was the right sailing navigation tool for me. I've got to be honest with you, it feels really quite clunky, and every time I navigate away from it, it kind of deletes my route. It's quite irritating. Okay. And that's not closing the app down, that's just navigating away from it and looking at a different app. Right, so according to this, okay, so we're at the exact same point, and this recommends, which is what I've picked, to go all the way across the bay to the other side, and then one presumes we're going to be tacking. We're doing all right. We're doing 5.8, 5.9, 6 knots. Pretty good for a boat that's expected to average 5. That means we're making good time. This would be the perfect time to get the old hot cocoa out and have a little sip of cocoa, calm my nerves, celebrate the fact that we made it out of the bay without hitting anybody or anything. Oh man, if I get to do this, I'm so excited about doing it, but petrified at the same time. Scary stuff. I was just thinking, if I do take my fishing gear, I could just maybe buy a net and chuck it off the bat. Probably catch more fish that way. So the section of sand that we're going over now is known as the Cardiff and Penarth roads. And it's deep at the moment, but at low tide, it's a dangerous sandbank. And this whole area, I'm just viewing it now. This whole section of water, full of sandbanks and channels and stuff. I'm really going to have to be on my game. Now, one thing that will be helping me if I time my exit at the right time is that the current... Yeah, see, again, the current here is 0.0 knots. This doesn't seem to work at all, but in reality, the tide would be 0.4 knots. So that would help us go just to push us in the direction we want to go. A wee trolling line behind me, yeah. That's not a terrible idea. And you could do that off a boat like this, I'm sure. It's probably the most sensible way to fish. I don't know if that would work. I don't know. These are things I can experiment with in time. The idea of sailing your own boat, fishing off your own boat, catching a fish by yourself, gutting it, cooking it, eating it. Wow. What a little experience that would be. One day maybe, if all goes well. I bought myself a little sailing hat. Really looking forward to wearing that. Trying it out. Kind of cool because it's reversible. So in the daytime, it's like black so that you look cool. I'll try to. And then at night time you can reverse it and it's like neon reflective orange or something. Don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I just think the more people that can see me coming, the better. Maybe they'll get out of my way if I'm just crap captain and I'm not paying attention. 5.2 meters below the keel, in some deeper water now. Looking at this route and I'm thinking, what's the sensible thing to do here? Yes, get across to the other side first, and then start tacking. God. I genuinely thought I was nearly the other side of the bay. It's amazing how small you are when you get in the ocean. You're just a little tiny speck. Totally insignificant. The ocean is just enormous. And even this little bay here is just gargantuan in comparison. Alright, I'm going to tighten this up. I'm going to start the tacking. Doing it a little bit early, but I think it's a good idea. Still maintaining 5.4 knots. Slightly more heel, 31 degrees, that's okay. Wife is not looking forward to heeling at all, or beating against the waves. She's gonna... Oh wow, you're gonna catch some cod. Fantastic. I really hope you get the opportunity to do that today, mate. That would be amazing. I love to catch a cod. The Atlantic's great for cod. Could set my sights on if I manage to get some fishing. I don't even have my fishing gear anymore. Left that at my mother's years ago. Gave it away, threw it away. Had to... hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth. Boat then. Hell. That's another thing that panics me. I don't know. I don't know what to do in this situation. Normal experienced captains just, I don't think, do it. But should I be attaching myself to the boat? This is my question. Because if I fall off, the boat's just going to keep going. It's not going to stop and wait for me. Not that I have any intentions of falling off, but you never know. So should I tie myself to the boat so if I do fall off, I'm at least being dragged along by it? I don't know if that's going to kill me though. That in itself might drag me under the water. There's so many unknowns. There's so many things I'm worried about. You're there till Monday. Hopefully you get out before then. Maybe go down to the cliffs later and try a spinner. See if you get lucky. Ah, nice. Looks like a lovely place. Have you been there before? Another thing I desperately would like to do. I don't see any avenue where it's going to be possible. Maybe in 10 years' time, it'll become an option. And the wife, randomly, the wife who's like, I'm not sure if she couldn't care less or whether she's just playing it cool. But I was showing her this boat the other night, and she did say, just randomly, out of nowhere, no coaxing from me whatsoever, she said she'd really like to sail around the UK, which is something I would love to do. Most people reckon it's going to take you 2 months, 3 months if you're doing it in a leisurely pace. I mean, 3 months, that's a huge commitment time. So I don't foresee that being very possible, but you never know. Count your chickens. Your first time there? Oh, nice. You're there with your missus and her mum and sister. Brilliant. Oh, good. I'm glad you're having a nice time, mate. Hope you catch yourself a nice big cod. Get some chips or something. Fantastic. Fresh cod and chips. Wow. Superb. Again, that's another thing I'm thinking about on the boat is when you're heeled over like this, it's going to be really awkward to cook, isn't it? Now, I know the posh boats have these, I can't remember what you call them, like galley cookers. Whereas the boat heels, it like twists on a gimbal, stays upright. But I haven't got anything like that. Whether or not I could get something like that put in, I don't. But again, part of the fun of having a boat is maintaining it and upgrading it and looking after it yourself. Making it your own, making it unique. So, I mean, I spent 2.5 hours yesterday. Well, not half hour, probably about an hour and a half. Whilst I was having my lunch, just looking at this chap doing boat wiring. Something that, you know, I have no experience of boat wiring whatsoever. It all runs off batteries. So I want to put a solar panel on my boat so that it can charge up a, I think they call it a leisure battery. So you have one battery for all your essentials, like your radio and things like that. Then you have another subset battery, charging your phone, watching a telly, charging a laptop, all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm thinking ahead already. Plans and ideas. They may be far-fetched in a little bit, but gotta have plans, even if they don't come true. Gotta have something to look at, haven't you? 16.6 knots. Interesting. I checked the route the other day, and it reckoned we were going to hit a maximum of 20 knots. And then I went and watched a video on YouTube of a chap sailing down exactly the same stretch of water. And he said, I looked at the weather forecast and it said the maximum wind I can expect to see today is 20 knots. And when he got out there, it went up to 55 knots when he blew his boat into the... It is, that's where dreams start, mate. Absolutely. That is where dreams start. And whilst Sailaway 2 is not the most realistic game in the world, far from it, it does give me a sense of what I'm likely to experience. I'm hoping the waves are not quite this bashy, though. But in all fairness, you know, if we've got a 20 knot, nearly 20 knots in our face right now, there's a very good chance that it is going to be like this. It's going to be hard bloody work. And we're heeling over quite far now. This is a 35-degree heel. When I went sailing down the Solent, we were doing a 45 heel for a good half an hour. And I tell you what, trying to stand up and hold that boat, that is a lot of effort and energy. Because the boat, although, you know, 40 degrees is not considered a huge amount of sailing. It's a hell of a lot more than you as a human normally experience on the land. So yeah, that's another thing I'm going to have to get used to. Hey Thomas, you've been lurking for a while. Ahoy to you. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Do you have any sailing experience, Thomas, that you can share with me? Any nuggets? Oh God. Felt like the boat was going over then. That was scary. We're only doing 4.6 knots now. Slowed down quite a bit and we're getting a little bit close to that shoreline. My liking. Probably shouldn't have turned as early as I did. I could see there's some shallows coming up. Well, the way the wind is, I can turn. Ooh, not that much. Whoa. I can turn a little bit more. Back up to 5.5 knots. Making good progress. I'm wondering if perhaps... Now they say, don't they? If you think it's time for a reef, then it's time for a reef. But I'm thinking... Before I reef, maybe I just want to bring the jib in. See what that does to the heel of the boat. Might make it a bit more comfortable. So that's giving us a good 30 knots. Sorry, a 30-degree angle. Maybe a little bit better. We've dropped our speed by quite a bit, down to 3.5 knots. So then maybe I put the jib up. And reef the mainsail. I do say, if you start thinking that you need a reef, you need a reef. Main reef. Okay. So we've got one reef in. It's affected our speed, but hasn't really helped our heels. Quite from what I want. Effectively, I want my cake and I want to eat it at the same time. I want the heel to be sort of 15 degrees and still be doing 6 knots. Yes, that's not going to happen. Holy gosh. Hardly got anywhere. Coming past Sully Island and Flat Home. Take that reef out. Okay, well, that's kicked the heel over 35%. Not sure how comfortable I'm going to be with that. What I need is for the day I leave, for the wind to be coming from the east. That's what I'm really after. Perilously close to. Shallow waters. Alright, well. In the sim, I'm happy to push the limits. But in the real boat, I think I'll probably anything more than sort of a 30-degree heel. I think is probably going to be comfortable. The only way to sort of deal with that is to put a reef in. But I put a reef in, and it didn't really do it all that much to the heel. And just drops again down to 16.4. Sailed once, Thomas, on an Italian lake with your wife. She used to crew and solo racing her. Oh wow! You scared the shit out of you that afternoon, and you got blisters on your gentle hands. I misread that first time. I thought you said on your genitals. You didn't. You said gentle hands. Game over. Bless you. Yeah, I'm definitely getting some sailing gloves because, you know, like you experienced there, blisters on your hands. They don't mind healing at all, do they? These racers. I don't want to be a racer. I have no intention of racing. Well, I'll say that. Total lie. I have no intention of racing officially. I very much want to cruise about, but you know, that's the thing. There is a trade-off. Can't have it your own way all the time, so I'm going to have to just man up. Deal with these issues. so to speak. I've heard from, I mean, when I was sailing that 50-foot monohull down the Solent, it wasn't that windy, but my God, I mean, the sail on that thing is enormous. I mean, huge, absolutely gigantic. It's probably longer, taller rather, than the boat is long. And it was, like I say, I was steering the boat for about 45 minutes, something like that, which was brilliant. Absolutely love that. Such an experience. But almost the whole time, or half of that time, we were at a 45 degree heel. So all of the weight was on one leg, and I was petrified that my feet were going to lose grip on the deck, and I was just going to pull the wheel. I was absolutely petrified that was going to happen. Yeah. The captain did say, because I felt like the boat was going to go over. I mean, if you look here, the way that the water is like right up on this line, you know, that's what it was like. That's exactly what it looked like from when I was sailing down the Solent. We were actually heeling the other way, but I was up here steering on this wheel. I was looking down, all the other people sat there, just 2 feet away from the water, totally in my control. Very scary, but also exhilarating. But yeah, the captain did say, because I felt like it was going to go over a couple of times, he said, don't worry about it. He said, if it gets too much, what will happen is the boat will tip over into the water, so to speak, and then all the wind will burrow over the top of the sail, which will take all of the strength out of the sail, and the boat will come back up again. And he just said that in such a nonchalant way, which I couldn't at the time fully fathom. There were like 12 people on board, captain, first mate, and 10 people. The sailing experience. And yeah, he just seemed to be perfectly okay with the fact that the big gust of wind came, the whole boat would tip over and then pop back up again. And that's what's supposed to happen. And I guess I need to sort of man up and just accept the fact that that might happen one day. But yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. 50-foot boat. Things are huge. Hey, Leeds the Fallen. How are you? Long time no see. The water looks amazing. Yeah. Inviting almost, doesn't it? Inviting almost. I don't know how realistic these waves are. I mean, these are quite, I'd say, quite big. But 17.1 knots. What'll be nice is when I get out there, I can start comparing simulators to the real thing. And this is not very realistic game at all. Close. Oh, thanks, Leeds. Show you all the games you'd never see. Well, I try and do that. I try and showcase many new games and indie games as I can. Some great games out there that I've never heard of, and every time I find a new one, I do like to try and share it with everybody. And sometimes if it's bad, I have to share that as well. But yeah, I try and find good ones as much as I can. Yeah. A small stretch of water and already it feels like I'm out in the middle of the ocean. But yeah, it's going to be great getting out there and trying the real thing and comparing it to these sims. It's going to be fantastic. Am I getting the new Flight Sim 2024? 1,000,000% I am, yes. Very excited about that. Very excited indeed. I'm also going to take a look at the new Farm Sim 25. There was a live stream yesterday where they showcased the new game and the new physics and the new ground deformation. I haven't watched it yet, but another friend of mine watched it and he said it looks exactly the same. It looks no different at all. The physics are no better. The ground deformation is not a thing, even though they said it was going to be. So, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully Flight Sim 24 will be huge improvement. I think it will be. I made some predictions. Micropros are backing a B17. I don't know if you've seen that. I did put a video out on it. They're bringing out a B17 flight DLC model for Microprose Flight Simulator. So that, for me, I've always wanted to fly a realistic flight sim B17. The only people who did it before was A2A. They did it in FSX. So that's going to be incredible. Really looking forward to it. Oh, you watched the live stream. It was okay, but a bit of a letdown. Okay. Yeah, you can walk around the plane in the new game, and you can walk. This is what I'm really excited about, is you can walk from your plane to your friend's plane and jump in their plane. That's what I want to do. Excited by that. But yeah, walking around the plane, I think they're gonna make planes persistent. I really hope they do. It'd be awesome. You're totally finished with Farm Sim. It's just a reskin of 22 in the previous one. I agree. That's what it sounds like they've done. And Giants are brilliant at this. Because the game is so popular and they have so many adoring fans, they think they're really something special. But the reality is, and it's been the same with every Farm Sim for the last 5-10 years, is they release the game and it's pretty crap, really basic, and nobody really likes it very. And then the modding community come in and they totally transform it and make it more realistic, and then it's good. But it's the modding community that are making it good, not Giants. Giants seem to take all the praise. That's really quite infuriating me, I say. Leeds, yes, it's a sailing simulator called Sailaway 2 Pro. There is a third one coming out, which the developer has asked me not to review. I think he's worried about what I'm going to say. But one of the things that irritates me most about this game is the fact that the tidal elements is totally wrong. Depth of the water is wrong. The current is wrong. There's so much wrong with it. But no collisions is the biggest thing. Two boats cannot collide. I'm hoping Sailaway 3 implements some collision physics and more realistic. But yeah, basically it's a sail trim simulator, but it covers the entire world. If you look at the map a second, zoom out as far as I can be bothered, you can see we are sailing from Cardiff down to St Ives today, and I can just zoom all the way out, see the entire world. There's lots of other people sailing. These are other people's boats all over the place down here. Couple up there. Yeah. The only sim that comes this close to being a realistic sim, in the sense that sail around the world, and it needs a lot more to be a realistic simulator. It's more like a game than anything else. But because I'm trying to buy a boat and planning on doing this route in a couple of weeks' time, I thought I'd have a crack at it and see what it's like. Sort of practicing, so to speak. Techno, yeah, you played it since the first one came out. I played it since 15. Giants do what they do because they have no competition, and yeah, they rely on modders. Yep, exactly it. And I wouldn't mind that if they were just a bit more honest about it. We'll build the framework, and then the modders will make the game. That's basically what happens. Making all that money, don't pay the modders that make the mods to make the game. Yeah, absolutely. Same with Train Simulator, yeah. Well, same with Train Simulator, the original one. Train Sim World 2. Oh, no, it's not Train Sim World 2, is it? What are we on now? Is it version 4? Version 5 is just around the corner, I'm sure. But, yeah, they don't really have any mod support on that game at all, do they? Despite saying they were going to do it some 7-8 years ago. All lies. Right, I need to get my correct trajectory. I'm going to make pretty close to the wind. Keep the speed up though. Too bad. But we are healing a lot now. We're doing about 40-degree heel, I'd say. I just come out of this camera a second. Oh. The game has changed my keybind to open and close the map. Can't swap my camera. I don't have a page up, page down button on my little handheld keyboard. Do I remember Dovetail Games? Oh yes, very well. Very well. They had the audacity to go online and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, which is very funny because I absolutely do know what I'm about. And I've been warning people about Dovetail Games for years. And all they do is prove me right. They do is prove me right. The only difference between 20... I'll try again. The only difference between 22 and the previous one is that they added 3D occlusions to textures, and that's just a disgrace. Yeah. I think they... Didn't they also add audio occlusion? I think that's what they did. They were their two big things, weren't they? You're right. It is. It's not enough. It really isn't. They make so much money and they have F all to show from it apart from bigger events and large pockets. Yeah. That's it. That's the truth of it. This is why I like micropros so much, guys, because I mean, they are a business. They are there to make money. But I genuinely feel they're all about the game. You know what I mean? And the devs that they back and support, they are also trying to make the best game they can. And I think that's sadly lacking. When you look at EA Games and Ubisoft and all these massive AAA companies, and then the smaller ones like Train Sim World and so on, Dovetail Games, and they don't really have a passion for the game or the sim as it is in most parts. You know, they don't want to make it a realistic sim at all. They just want to do little as possible, and then like EA, just slam loads of loot boxes all over the place and try and scam as much money out of people as they can, really. I think what did it for me two things that Giants have done that absolutely sicken me to the core. And I've said this lots of times, so apologies if you've heard this before, but they did an interview once, and one of the developers said, yeah, of course we could make it more realistic, but then nobody would want to play it. And my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. I wanted to be there in the interview and say, well, if that's the case, why are the most popular mods for Farm Sim ones that make the game more realistic? That was true. Clearly it's not. And then one of the DLCs they released for Farm Sim 22 was the ability to build a boat, which as a keen sailor did appeal to me a little bit, I have to. But you could build a boat or a roller coaster. I mean, what the hell has that got to do with farming? Absolutely nothing at all. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I don't know what they were thinking. Who came up with that idea? Ah, SCS. Now that is a company. Now, I'll be fair. SCS, I love SCS. I just really wish they would let us get out the truck and walk around properly. That's the only thing that annoys me. Yes, I do love SCS. They stick with the game. They work on it. They work hard. They're just an honest company. Yeah, ATS or ETS, yeah. They do need to change the physics of the game. I 100% agree. I was very happy when they introduced ABS. Proper ABS systems into the game. But they need to do so much more. You know, they need to do more with the engine. They brought out... I mean, this is the downside of SCS. Their hands appear to be tied. They brought out the option to have second-hand trucks and stuff. But if you go and look in the second-hand truck store, they're all brand new. Because apparently the truck companies didn't want people to see what their trucks look like when they're old and used or something. Stupid stuff like that. Yeah, leads, you can change the physics in the settings. I always have minimum stability on the truck and on the trailer and minimum brakes, but in all honesty, that's not realistic. Still isn't realistic even in that sense. It's better, don't get me wrong, but it's certainly not a hardcore sim. Yeah, Techno and I are pretty much on the same page. They did add ABS braking. I will give them credit for that. There is something they did. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, first. They did add ABS braking, which is realistic, I'd say. But they need to do a lot more. Exactly right. Car games. What is that Ubisoft car game? What's that called? Oh, I forget now. Ubisoft brought out a car game, and graphically it looks beautiful, but I played it and it's absolute trash. But I did showcase. I just took this car and I did donuts, smashing into everything, and it put scratches and dents all over the car. And then I just sat there and looked at it for, I don't know, a minute, and all the scratches and dents and everything just disappeared. But again, that's because they don't want... These car companies don't want to showcase their car being damaged. I think it's just petty and pathetic. I find it most irritating. Wow. 45 degree heel. Quite a heel. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable in my boat. First time of doing it. With this amount of heel. And we're only doing 5 knots. So it's not like we're going super fast or anything. This is our average speed. This is exactly the same speed that the boat I'm buying is supposed to maintain as well. So you would think if I were out here sailing right now IRL, then I would have to be, if I wanted to be doing 5 knots, I would have to be heeling over like this, which is a bit of a scary thought. Where do I drive across America? Well, when I'm playing ATS, I do, yeah. Oh my God, Leeds. The Toka, the touring cars. Oh, that's one of my favourite all-time games. I love that so much. That was such a good game. I mean, by today's standards, it's probably awful to play, but you're right. I mean, not just that, but Colin McRae Rally, that was about the same time, wasn't it? Toka, Colin McRae Rally, I remember distinctly one of the most amazing experiences. Driving the rally car, went through a puddle, and I couldn't see because there was mud all over the windscreen, and I had to turn the windscreen wipers on. That was amazing. They just don't do things like that anymore, and I don't know why. We've gone backwards instead of forwards. Whatever's easier. About making a quick buck, not a good product. Seems to be the way. The defamation on BeamNG, yeah. Absolutely. The problem with BeamNG is that it's so demanding on your system. Basically, it's, I think, what racing games are going to be like in 20 years' time, when we've got computers that are powerful enough to run it. But right now, it's too demanding. Techno, you think Forza 3 and 4 are the best driving games out there? Really? Really? In what sense? I don't play Forza, so I don't really have an opinion, but I played 7. I played Forza 7 for a bit, and I kind of got into it. It's very arcadey. It looks gorgeous, though, graphically, from a graphical perspective. Very impressive. Just doesn't feel very real. Doesn't sound very realistic. Seven is not good. Okay, understood. You know... Oh, you saw a guy trying to do rally on Beam and it was mint. I bet that was good. Forza 4 was the pinnacle. Okay. Okay. So what's the difference between Forza 4 then and Forza 7? What's happened? Where have they gone wrong? Tell me. Should I look to pick up Forza 4? I think one of the best underrated games of recent years has to be Project Cars 2. Ah, the physics in Forza 4. Okay. Physics. Okay, okay. I have to say, the physics in Forza 7 were not great. Wow, we're doing about a 50-degree heel here. I definitely can't see myself doing this IRL. Not on my first voyage. I'd just be too scared. I don't know where the limit is. Used to do drifting on Forza 3 in events, but would make your own tunes. Cars made it way better. Did feel a bit arcade, but it was the most fun you had in a track game. Interesting. VR hasn't taken off, has it? Not not in the way that they thought it was going to. The problem with VR, and it's slowly getting better, is that the precision isn't quite there. So, you know, you don't have full HD quality. So, like, all the writing on the cockpit of an aeroplane that you need to be able to read just isn't clear enough. But it is getting better. It is getting better. And you've now got, split reality. So... and I'm hoping to do a bit of this myself. You can like take parts of your room out of the VR. So where I want to be able to see my throttles and the buttons and stuff that I press, I can make that part of the VR experience not there. So I can see through the VR and see the real world. That's going to make things better. And that's improving quite quickly. In quite a few different apps for that. Definitely seems to be heading in the right direction in that regard. Seven was just a joke. The first time you loaded it up, had an invisible track, terrible lag. You uninstalled it straight away and didn't look at it again. I didn't have that issue. But, yeah. Definitely, I mean, it just didn't feel as realistic as games like Assetto Corsa Competizione. That's one of the most exciting games coming out, is Assetto Corsa 2. Oh, wow. That really could be something. Because I didn't actually personally find Assetto Corsa that realistic. I know there are people who would literally lynch me. Those seagulls. People who would actually lynch me for saying such things, but I didn't. However, Assetto Corsa is very, very realistic. So if they've learnt some important lessons whilst developing Assetto Corsa Competizione, I hope to see it. Assetto Corsa 2, that's going to be amazing. Where you're sailing from Google Maps, or is it auto-generated? So the map in the game is auto-gen in the game. So it's the real world. The entire planet and all of the real world wind conditions are captured in this game. And they seem to be quite accurate, I've got to say. So on the game, oh god, we've got 20 knots of wind. That explains why we're healing so far. But I'm also using my mobile phone because I've got some real-world apps which I'm going to use. Windy is where I think the wind here is coming from. So, yeah, I mean, it's accurate. Windy is saying the wind coming at us now is 21 knots and it's 22 in-game. Quite realistic. We are healing far too far. Look at this, we're 60 degrees. So I said earlier on, this is quite interesting actually, I did say earlier on, I wonder if we need to reef, and now we are healed over too far. So I definitely need to reef, and I should have done it earlier. It's a good lesson learnt, that. I put a reef in, that brings us back down to sort of 35, but I want to try and keep it at 30. So I'm going to try and put a second reef in. If I can find it. Oh, maybe we only have one reef in this boat. Yeah, we just have the one reef. So that's it. We're at maximum reef. Maybe I'll bring the jib down and put something else there. I don't know if I have a smaller sail I can put at the front. We don't want to go over and sink. That's the key thing here. I've learnt a lesson there because I allowed the heel of the boat to get too far over. Could have done something sooner. Oh, we've only got a jib and a main. We don't have any other sails. I'll just put the jib up 50%. Or 75%. Try 100%. We're only heeling at 30 degrees, so I think we can risk it. Assetto is nice, to be honest. Assetto Corsa, the original, with mods, is very good. But I genuinely think Assetto Corsa 2 is going to blow it completely out the water. Am I still with my wife and kids? I'm absolutely still with my wife and kids. Yeah, we have never-ending problems. Never-ending problems. You know, it's just part of life, isn't it? If it was all smooth sailing, it'd be boring, I suppose. But yeah, we're all fine, thank you for asking. We're good. Technos, no worry, mate. No worry, see you in a bit. Hey, Paolo, how are you, my friend? You're eagerly waiting for the Sailaway 3. Me too. Me too. I have spoken to the dev. I forget his name. I always forget his name. I have spoken to the dev about Sailaway 3, and he's asked me not to review it until it comes out. So, and he hasn't invited me into the fold to have a look and give feedback or anything like that. So, yeah, I think he's nervous about what I'm going to say. I just hope that boat collisions are a thing and that the physics are improved. That's all I want. If you could just do those two things, well, I say that, I lie completely, because I also want tidal tidal waves and not tidal waves, what am I talking about? I want tidal conditions to become a thing, and I want the current of the water to be realistic, which also means that the physics have to be more realistic. But yes, should be coming out in January. No, August, sorry. Should be coming out in August. Oh, I've just had a delivery. Go get that. What's my day job when I'm not gaming? Leeds. I am officially a software developer. I went to uni. I have a degree. I worked in the industry for 4 or 5 years. And then 10 years before that, I was working as a sort of an IT tech man. So I was doing networking, routers, PC building, PC repairs, upgrades, all that kind of stuff. So that is my day-to-day job. But I had a car accident in 2009, which left me with a head injury. So I find it very difficult to do coding days. I'm trying to get back into it. I'm trying to get a game developed and released so that I can start doing that. That is officially my day job, but don't do it much as I want to. I think is saying that. The problem is that my YouTube channel brings in a bit of cash and a bit of money, and obviously things are very tight at the moment, so that's really quite important. So I'm giving, I think, too much time to my YouTube channel, not enough time to my game development. program. It's very difficult to balance these things. Very difficult to get the right sort of combination between gaming and recording and making content and still having time and energy to do software development and stuff on the side. Officially, I am a software developer. Right, guys, I'm going to leave you in charge of the boat for a minute. I'm going to drop the jib so that we don't capsize. It does mean we're going to be going quite slowly, but we should be going safely. We've got about a 30-degree hill and we're still going. We're heading in the right direction, so just sail accordingly. I'll go and get this delivery and I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, I won't be long. back. Well done, everybody. The boat is still up and sailing. You've done a fantastic job. We're still at a 30-degree heel. We're doing 2.1 knots, though. That's pretty slow. About... increase that heel a smidge. Bit of extra speed. Paolo! For the first time you'll be on a sailboat. 41 feet on the Greece next month. Brilliant. Thanks to Sailaway 2. Started to love sailboats. Wonderful. That is great. It was Amazon Leeds. It was. I thought we'd open it together. I've no idea what it is. Here it is. It's very light, whatever it is. Oh, it's not as exciting as I thought it was. I thought it was a thing. I wondered why I wasn't expecting it. It's not very exciting, I'm sorry. It's not Amazon at all. I thought it was. Here you go. It's going to be a massive... that's a huge box for such a small thing. That's totally unnecessary. What it is. They don't sponsor the channel, but they should. Gillette, the best the man can get. How uninspiring was that? I thought it was going to be something really exciting. I did pop down to the galley though and grab myself a banana, an apple and a packet of crisps. So we're not going to starve on this journey, which is good. It's like Christmas, yeah. Except even more disappointing. I had to pay for my own gifts. Absolute rubbish. Right, so the heel's pretty good. We're at 35-degree heel. We're chugging along quite nicely. 4.5 knots. We're not doing too badly. And we've got 20 knots of wind again, so it's going to be proper blowy in my face. AWS is 23.5, so if you imagine sticking your head out of a car whilst you're driving along at 23 miles an hour, that's what it's going to be like in your face in the real world, sailing this right now. But yeah, I'm glad I put the reef in. I think that was the right thing to do. And then I can just manage the jib to control the speed. 4.5 knots is not too bad. Not fast. Sailing from Wales, Leeds. So the route today is from Cardiff to St Ives in Cornwall. Let's zoom the map out. See how far we've got. We're making some progress, but yeah, we've got a hell of a long way to go. And we're against the wind the whole way. Well, till we get here. I think they call that the Bristol Strait, don't they? I'm not sure. It's not going to be the Bristol Strait. What's it called? I can't think what it's called now. Once we get past Swansea, we'll have some decent wind and we should be able to pick up some proper speed. But we're going to have to tack our way all the way down here. So tonight we'll get to St Ives and we'll park up, put the anchor out, spend the night there, and then we'll go round the Lizard tomorrow, hopefully, and then we've got to sail back to Poole, my home base. You'd find it very boring if you were playing. It's just sailing in a straight line. Well, you know, this is kind of what sailing is all about. It's using the wind to move the boat which is the key thing for me. I love that. I just love the whole theory behind that. But in order to do it, and to do it safely, there's a lot of things, a lot of factors you've got to keep on top of. Now, I admit, it's not like a race car where you're going around, you know, and it's all high intensity for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. It's very chilled out. But as we saw just now, when the wind picked up to 20 knots and I hadn't put a reef in, even though I talked about putting a reef in, it totally knocked the boat over. Now, in the real world, I'd be in the water, or the boat would sink. So it's pretty serious stuff. It's not simulated particularly well in this game, but there is no other game out there where you can sail from Cardiff to Poole. So, I mean, I just wish it was better than it is, but this is the best one out there for this, basically. Your mate's on holiday near where I'm sailing now. I'll give him a wave. I'll be doing, if I win this boat, like I say, I put a bid on a boat. I've wanted to sail pretty much my whole life. And I'm at an age now where I think if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I'm really, really keen to get myself a boat, get out there and start sailing, start learning, start, you know, improving, so to speak. So I've put a bid on a boat, which is in Cardiff. So if I win it, the only way I can get it from Cardiff back home is to sail it, which is why I'm doing this today. Part of the reason why I'm doing it. And like I say, there is no other game out there that will allow you to do this. So, as much as Sailaway is not that realistic, it's the only game that will allow you to do something like that. So it's pretty important. And it's a good practice and a learning curve. And, you know, right there, the mistake I made was, and it's so true, if you ask yourself the question, shall I put a reef in? Yes is the answer. Always yes. And I didn't do it, because I was trying to keep speed up. So, you know, you've got to learn these lessons, and I think it's better to learn these lessons in a simulator than it is in real world sailing, because the consequences out there are, you know, life-threatening. The credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. Thank you, Techno. Thank you. I'm a bit nervous. I almost don't want to win it. Do you know what I mean? If I win it, I've got to go get it. That is a scary thought. So I almost don't want to win it. Leeds, no, I haven't got my sailing certificates at all. I have got very small amounts of sailing experience. But I believe I have a natural affinity to it. There's lots I don't know, and there's lots I need to learn, but I think I know enough to safely navigate enough to learn those lessons, so to speak. Once I get the boat, though, I will be looking at doing some captain's courses and stuff like that. No, I read a lot. I do read a lot. I have a lot of books on sailing. I watch a lot of videos on sailing. You know, the theory I'm okay with, I think, but it's the practical I'm lacking experience in. Be nice to see some real sailing boats. Been watching a guy that converted a lifeboat sailing up the east coast of Scotland. Oh wow! Please send me a link to that. That sounds really interesting. I'd love to watch that. Yeah, like I say, if I do win the boat and I'm sailing it home from Cardiff, I will be live streaming some bits. I'll be recording some bits. I will be uploading to the channel. And hopefully nothing too dramatic happens. But yeah, I will record all of it. Share it with you. And one day, you never know, I'll sail around the whole coast of England. I'd love to do that. That'd be awesome. I'm just going to dive into my Nana because I'm feeling a bit hungry. And obviously when you're sailing, you've got to keep your energy levels up. One thing I will say this for a fact. You know, I think I understand sailing enough to get from A to B in fair weather. And if the weather turns, I think I know enough to keep the boat stable. And I will always try and err on the side of caution whilst sailing. But there is no way on earth I want to be sailing at night. That would be too scary. Here's Techno. There's this young lady. I don't know how old she is. She's got to be early to mid-20s. So she looks early to mid-20s anyway. And she sails solo around the world. And I forget the name of it, but she has this like collision detection system on her boat. And she went to sleep one night with the autopilot on, this auto detection system activated. And she woke up because she just felt something wasn't right. None of the alarms had gone off. There was no issue in it, nothing like that. And she woke up and she was 15 feet away from an enormous fuel tanker in the middle of the ocean. I mean, that could have killed her instantly. But none of her safety systems activated. None of them worked. So the thought of sailing asleep is just not on the cards for me. I'm a day sailor. I will sail in the daylight and that's it. The only way I'd sail at night is if someone was on the helm. We were doing, you know, 4 hours on, 4 hours off or whatever. No way I could do it. You love it when bananas get to the point where they start to go black and brown on the outside. I believe it's something to do with the potassium levels in the banana. They just taste so much better when they've reached that point where just before you throw them away, that's when they're the sweetest. Delicious. I love bananas. Shall I try and get the external camera work? That sounds sketchy. Yeah, I know. She was so calm about it. She did say, you know, after it happened and she'd moved away from the boat and everything was fine, she had a bit of a cry. And like I say, I watch and read and do it and just try and absorb as much information about sailing as I can. And having a scary incident on a boat, dealing with it and coming out the other side, the number of captains, male and female, young and old, who go downstairs and have a bit of a cry is unbelievable. It happens so often. And I think, again, it's just that sudden realization that you are so insignificant in the sea. You are nothing. You are a tiny, tiny, tiny little blip. And the sea doesn't care about where you want to go, what you want to do, who you are, how nice you are, how mean you are. It doesn't care about anything at all. It will annihilate you in a second and not care at all. And it's just that sudden realization that you're nothing. You are a nobody. You could be the queen, the king. The sea does not care at all. I'm just going to bring this halyard, the jib, down a bit. We're heeling over a little bit too far. Still doing 3.7 knots. Not too bad. It's a little bit slower than I want to go, but it's safe. If you put bananas in the fridge, the skin continues to blacken, but the flesh lasts much longer. Really? That's interesting, because I was always told not to put bananas in the fridge. They go off quicker. Interesting, Thomas. I'm going to have to experiment with that. Now, one of the things I have to factor in when I'm sailing, I'm only going to be sailing from one port to another in a day, so maybe not as big a factor as I'm thinking it's going to be, but keeping food fresh when you have limited fridge resources and stuff like that, that's going to be tricky. Have to, have lots of rice, but again, if rice gets wet, it's totally ruined. You have to throw it away. It's going to be interesting. So many random challenges when it comes to sailing. And bring that jib up again. Every time the wind dies down, I was just jumped up to 19 knots again. Leave it there for now. We're doing nearly 4 knots. Hey Ripper, it's going well, thank you. How are you? I'm just practicing a route from Cardiff to Poole for a boat that I've put a bid on, that I'm half hoping I win and half hoping I don't win. Because if I win it, I'm going to have to do this route for real. But I'm good, thank you. How are you? Hope you're well. I'm going to eat my apple now. Hopefully you can't hear it on the microphone, but apologies. You can hear the juicy, all that kind of stuff going on. Apologise in advance. Good. I'm glad you're good, Ripper. I remember a story, Robin Knox. You must know who Robin Knox is if you know anything about sailing. First Englishman to circumnavigate the globe without stopping. Part of the Telegraph competition thing from many years ago. He absolutely loaded his boat up. Bearing in mind, these guys were sailing in rickety old leaky boats through the middle of the ocean. Insanely brave. I mean, bordering on psychotic, I'd say. But he had all these tins, and back then tins were sort of lead lined. So, I mean, very unsafe, not good for you at all. But anyway, in order to have food for the journey, he had to have hundreds and hundreds of these tins. And apparently seawater and lead react. And some of the tins had got a bit wet. Somehow. And all of the lead sealing... I think I need to just reef that jib. So yeah, all of these sealants started fizzing away, and he said he was sat there sailing along quite pleasantly and started hearing all these like popping sounds, and when he looked back in the galley, all of these tinned food started exploding, and there were like spaghetti hoops and stuff all over the inside of his boat. It's quite funny. Dehydrated prepared food, just add hot water and use yeah, that's a good idea. If you get a dehydrator, make a spag ball, then dry it out. Is that a thing? A dehydrator? Oh wow, Techno, you've that's a thing, mate. You've just given me a lifeline. I never even considered I could do it myself. I've looked at the packets and stuff that you can buy, and they're very nice apparently. They're bloody expensive. Wow, you can buy a dehydrator for like 100 quid. Oh wow. Or you can buy a little one for 40 quid. Or an in-betweeny one for 60. Ripper, I have sailed before, yes. So when I was 15, my parents... it looks like the wind has died down a bit here. When I was 15, my parents wanted to get rid of me. So they sent me on this, like, month-long sailing course. And I really didn't want to go. I did not want to go at all. But when I got there, I don't think I've ever enjoyed anything quite so much in my life. And all we did really was sail across this lake and back again. And we did that for like 2 hours. And we did that, I can't remember now. I'm trying to remember. It was either once a week or twice a week. I think it was twice a week, a Wednesday and a Saturday or something. And it was wonderful. And that is what gave me the passion for sailing. But I haven't sailed since then very much at all. That's some 25 years ago. So last year I did sail a 50-foot super yacht down the Solent. They sail it. There was a captain, a first mate, and then there was me and 9 other people. And we all sort of took turns steering the boat and raising the sails and adjusting the sails and stuff like that. But that was a superb experience. So I do have sailing experience, but it's very limited. Most of my sailing experience is either simulation based. That's why I'm doing this today. Bit of a practice, bit of a refresher. And reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I am self-confessed a sailing rookie, but I think I have a natural affinity for sailing. Just feel like, and lots of people say this, feel like I'm meant to be sailing. If that makes sense. Could be wrong. Could be a terrible, terrible idea. But I want to get my own sailboat for a long time. I'm getting old, you know. I'm mid-40s. I haven't got much time left to me to be able to go and do these things. And the last 3 years I've had a serious health condition that meant I could barely walk. So I've come out the other side of that, and I really want to try and... I mean, even if I only get to sail for 1 year, at least I've done it. But hopefully I'll be able to get another 5-10 years worth or something like that. Techno, I will, mate. Thank you for giving me that heads up. I am 100% going to go down this route. I think that's such a brilliant idea, and I never considered it, so thank you so much. There's a tiny little one there for 40 quid. That would do me, I think. Yeah, thank you, mate. I bet there's some sort of YouTube thing out there or something, isn't it? That will help me come up with ideas and things that I can cook and so on. And that's brilliant. Because one of the easiest things I can do is heat up some water. Let me just, annoyingly, interrupt the cruise for a moment. If I can rebind my external camera button. It's a bit quirky, this game. Doesn't really support controllers very well. Oh, I see what it wasn't the game at all. I changed the keybind. Couldn't have done. Let me fix this real quick. Huh. That's interesting. Try it. Let's see if it works. You'll notice that in Sailaway, even if you bring the menu up, you're still sailing. It never stops. Even if you turn the computer game off, it's still sailing. Used to watch a lot of guys in Canada canoe between locks, and they would dehydrate food, takes up less space in a bag compared to yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love that. I did not, I swear to God, think that was a possibility, but now that you've gone the light in that direction, I'm going to do it. Definitely how I'm going to do it. There we go. You can see we're heeled over really quite far. And that is what monohull boats are designed to do. And if I were doing that in real life, it's going to be a nerve-wracking experience. Sure. These waves look way too big. But I don't know. Maybe they're accurate. See, look. See how the waves are coming up over the side? That means I'm definitely heeling too far. So I need to... well, I say too far. I think it is. I'm just going to have to accept the fact that this boat cannot travel this fast in this wind. That's all there is to it. I mean, in a sim, I can get away with it. But in real life, I'd be putting my life at risk. And because I'm trying to do this as realistically as possible, I'm going to have to take the jib down. It's a shame I haven't got a storm jib. If I had a storm jib, I could put that up. And that gives us a bit of extra speed, but not too much extra heel. So yeah, that reduces us down to 3 knots. See what it's like with the reef out. I don't think it's going to cope. See. Brings us back up to 4 knots. I'm going to hold it there. We're heeling at about 30 degrees, 32, 33 degrees, which is okay. A little bit of extra speed as a result. That's doable. That may be too much hill, mightn't it? One of the things I'm really keen to do is take my family out on the boat with me. But obviously that adds a lot of extra pressure and stress. Not just because, you know, they're stressful people or whatever, but because their lives are in my hand, and, you know, they could go down below, open a window, think nothing of it, I don't notice, and the boat's filling up with water. You know, there's so many things that they have to learn just to be a passenger. Kind of weird. Heck no, she's fine. She's been through worse. I took her to oh no, I took a different boat. I was going to say I took her to a hurricane yesterday, but I didn't. That would be fake. I think we're heeling over too far. Here's my thing. We'll put the reef back in. That should reduce the amount of heel we're getting. Still coming up over the edge. Hey up. You might be experiencing simulated seasickness. If you want to know what seasickness is like and you have a VR headset, download a game called, I think it's called Future Car. And it's one of the very first VR games that came out. It's not really a game so much as an experience. It's a car that hovers and it flies through a town. There's loads of other cars and stuff flying about. And I've got to admit, at the time it came out, graphically, it was really quite impressive. But if you don't touch any of the controls and you just let it fly, you're okay. You look out the windows, you can experience the VR thing, and it's all right. It won't make you vomit. But if you so much as turn that thing by 5 degrees, there's something about the way they did that game. It instantly turns your stomach. And that is what seasickness feels like, is that. So if you ever want to experience what seasickness is like, God only knows why you would want to. That game is still available, I believe. I've still got it on my VR headset anyway. And it will instantly make you want to chuck. Horrid. And it lasts for hours. It really messes with your head. You'll pass. I don't blame you. Don't blame you. I've never ever experienced anything quite like that. A VR headset to try with War Thunder. I've never played War Thunder, you know. People keep telling me I should. Maybe I will one day. Played DCS with VR, and that's incredible. In complete contrast to the other game, the one I was just telling you about, in DCS, if you're flying, you can do like barrel rolls, twists, hard 10G turns, all that. Doesn't make me feel sick at all. Air car, that's what it was called, air car. Uh-oh, we're gonna have to turn into the wind in a second. It's good, but it's a grind. Yeah. It's a problem with free-to-play games. I don't mind a grind, but they tend to price their products far too high for my... There's definitely some water coming into the cockpit. Look at this. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, no. No, it's not quite breaching the side. I mean, there'd be a lot of splash coming in, obviously. Cockpits have a self-draining system. Cool. But quite often they're not big enough. If you get a lot of water, you're going to have a problem. We're only doing 2 knots here. What's going on? Oh, that's all we can do. Take the reef out. See how much we heal over. No, that's too much. We go faster, but the heel is just too much. We need slightly less wind to go faster. Right. So we are coming up to our first turn. Bit of a shallow there as well. This is where we're going to struggle. We're going to have to tack against a 20 knot wind quite a long bloody way. Ow. This is why they reckon this route will take 3 days. Okay, well, this is what I came for. May not make it to St Ives today. It may just be that the weather conditions are too harsh. I'll have to find a port closer to St Ives. Oh, you're flying USA planes? and you're tier 11, so you're trying to unlock the F-16 and the F-14, but you're in an F-4 Phantom. F-4 Phantom's not a bad plane at all. I think DCS have just recently released an F-4 Phantom as well. That was really good. I want to get more DCS time in. I kind of feel like I need another rig for that. See, my rig here is quite extensive. These are real hand-cooked ham and mustard flavoured crisps. Brilliant crisps, but I can't stand mustard. So I will eat these without much pleasure. Oh. They're so strong. Wow. Blows my tongue off. They were a present from my daughter on Father's Day. I will eat them and shut up. Enjoy it. Oh, God, that's really burning my tongue. Ooh! Mamma mia. I'm going to put a tack in because we're going so slowly. I think a tack might help us out a bit. I don't know. Let's have a go. See how we get on. So we're healing a lot less. We are also going quite a bit slower, and we're now heading straight into the waves. So this is known as beating, and it's a horrible experience. You are literally being lifted up and slammed into the water over and over again, and it doesn't stop until you turn. So this would not be a lot of fun. Okay, I think I can get the reef out a little bit. Get a bit of speed in. Now doing 3 knots. Still maintaining a 30-degree heel, but we are beating against the waves, which is that's going to be really challenging. While we're doing this for real, there'd be stuff flying about all over the place because I wouldn't have secured it properly. That's a lesson learned. I need to secure everything properly. This would be a real challenge. Heck no, DCS is fantastic. If you're interested, I'm quite happy to do co-op on DCS. It's very demanding, but very rewarding. You are going to need a lot of buttons. Heck no, have you got something called voice attack? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Healing too much, look. Oh, wrong way. I hope the weather's not like this when I sail. This is really going to be challenging for your first sail. 24, 25 knot winds now. Bloody hell. It'll be a challenge. Whoa. My controller flying. Voice attack is a piece of software. It's about 10 quid, less than that sometimes. And basically you can set it up to do complex key commands. So then you say a keyword like raise landing gear, lower landing gear, and then it will do the keybind that you've set for that action and frees up some of your buttons for something else. A really good bit of kit. I've been using it for years. I love it. None of this subscription rubbish either. Pay for it once, that's it, it's yours forever. Any speed here. This is a good eye-opener. I'm going to most definitely... I think I was a bit blasé about which direction the wind was coming from and how fast it was going to be. It's actually a massive consideration for sailing. I'm going to give it a lot more respect than I would have done before I did this. Oh, Fox 1, Fox 2, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's for. Oh, man, this mustard is blowing my bloody tongue to bits. Ooh. Cooling my tongue down. boat is struggling. You can see how slow we're going. It's going to be a hell of a slog. That reef is not really saving us, is it? If we had the same wind coming from behind us, we'd be absolutely laughing. We'd be flying along at about 7-8 knots, maybe faster. Not a care in the world. Going with the waves, everything would be wonderful. It'd be a totally different experience. Although, if you look at the clouds, it does look like it's clearing up a bit. Maybe we'll get lucky here. I don't think the wind is going to change direction, but maybe a little knock off 5 knots, that would help. Because we can get the bigger sails out then and go a little bit faster. Just reading there, a more experienced sailor says anything between 10 to 15 knots is lovely for sailing. Anything from sort of 15 upwards for more experienced sailors. Those who want to challenge, those who want to go fast, those who want to race. Making very, very slow progress here, but the wind seems to have dropped. Feels like it's dropped. Still says it's doing 20.4 knots. Perhaps going against the waves, slowing us down even. It's such a long distance to go. Long way to go. Bad weather conditions. I think what I might do, even though we've only travelled a very short distance, is try and find a harbour near here. A bit of shelter down, I think down here might be. A bit of a cove down here, look. Warren Point, or just behind it. I think we might head down there. See if maybe the weather conditions improve later on. Tack back the other way. Going a lot faster in this direction, which is good. Could bring us out. Pretty much. Right where we want to be. Take a while to get there though. Bridgewater Bay or Anchor Bay. Weirdly enough, I think I've heard of them. charge my phone. Just keep heading in this direction. Hope that we get out of the wind a little bit. Wow. You're making a cup of tea from the honey you got from a bee farm yesterday. Game changer compared to sugar. I've never tried that. I'm not a massive fan of honey, but I'm not opposed to it either, and there are so many positives about honey. I've always wanted to own my own beehives. For one thing, you know, I want to try and protect bees. I think they're absolutely essential to humanity. But yeah, having honey is like a Brucey bonus. Far more healthy, yeah. Not just healthy in the sense that sugar's bad for you, honey isn't, but honey has like one of the superpower foods or something, isn't it? Can really boost your immune system, and such a powerful thing. And again, you know, I'm not an activist or anything, but sailing, instead of using petrol to power a boat, I think is superb. And in the same vein, you know, the fact that bees make honey, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. You're not a lover in general, but in tea and coffee, you're not getting sugar crashes. That's a bonus. I have to admit, first thing in the morning, stopped doing it recently. I have been having 3 sugars. Definitely water in the cockpit there, look. Definitely saw some water coming in the cockpit there. Yeah, I have been having 3 sugars in my tea. To be fair, just to be clear, my cup, which isn't in here today, it's huge. It's like 2 cups of tea. So really, that's 1.5 sugars. But yeah, I've cut that down to 2. Yeah, I'll give that a go. I'll get hold of some honey and give it a try. And again, you know, talking about boats related stuff, having honey on a boat seems like a flipping brilliant idea. It must give you so much energy as well. Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try, man. I haven't had honey in the house for a long time, but we do a lot of, or we used to do a lot of like, or I used to, clarify myself over and over again. I used to do a lot of honey-based chicken barbecue stuff. Sticky barbecue and honey glazed chicken and stuff like that. That was nice. But no, I haven't had honey in the house for years. You've not gone back to it. You've been using honey for about 4 months now. Wow. That could be the second life-changing moment you've created for me today, Techno. You're my life guru, man. One of the things, I've been looking for boats. I've been looking at boats and yachts and stuff for, like properly looking for probably about 2.5, 3 months now. And I've fluctuated and bounced around a lot. And every time I learn something new, it totally changes my perception on what I want or what I need, what's best for me in terms of buying a boat. And throughout the whole thing, I've always felt like I wanted a boat that was built the same year I was born. So the boat is the same age as me. Yeah, both the two boats I'm interested in at the moment, both of them. One is bang on my birthday, and the other one is a year after my birthday. So, well, that brings a lot of trials and tribulations. Lots of things that I have to consider. The engine on the boat, of course, being a consideration. One of the benefits of having outboard motors is that easily swapped out. Paolo, well, excuse me for burping, I do apologise. It's interesting you mentioned the cat, because I used to watch this couple YouTube channel, and they bought a catamaran, and they lived on this boat, and they sailed all over the world, and it was a brilliant show. I used to watch it all the time. And I thought to myself, this is a couple of years back now, if I ever buy a boat, I would buy a catamaran, because it's more stable. You've got far bigger living space. It's like, you know, it almost seems like there is no reason not to get a catamaran. But there are some serious caveats to having a catamaran. Some serious positives and some serious negatives. And fundamentally, at the end of the day, as much as I bitch and moan and complain about how far the boat is heeling over, how much that's going to scare the living daylights out of me, it's also exhilarating, and you just don't get that sense of exhilaration on a cat. It's almost too easy. But in high wind conditions like this, the problem with a cat is, so I mentioned earlier, I don't know if, when I was sailing the 50-foot yacht down the Solent, the captain was quite happy with the idea that if the wind got too much, it would push the boat over to a degree. Oh, now my phone's ringing. Get that in a second. It was heeling the boat over to a degree where the wind would spill over the sail and the boat would upright itself again. On a catamaran, you don't have that. So if you get too much wind, it's going to lift one of the hulls out of the water, and you're going to capsize, and then trying to get a catamaran back up again is nigh on impossible. So I've kind of gone off the idea of a cat. But in some ways I do love them as well. You got your motorbike, it's a 1987 and you were born in 85. Fantastic. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We're on the same level. Leeds. I would be doing this exact same route. Sailing from Cardiff round the Lizard back to Poole, which is my home port. This is exactly the route I would be doing, and this is why I'm doing it today as a bit of a practice. And I have to say, I have learnt quite a lot. Quite a few factors have been presented to me, like reefing. Although I think I know how to behave in certain circumstances, I have proven to myself that I opted for speed over safety. So I have learnt a few lessons already just by doing this. Trusty old steed, I bet. I bet. Yeah, see, Paolo? Exactly. Exactly. You're using them more for fishing and stuff because you're seeing them down the dock. Yeah, that makes sense, actually, for fishing purposes. Yeah, that's a good idea. I saw, not sure if it's quote-unquote a proper boat, but I did see a catamaran, which was basically just a bit of canvas down the middle of the two hulls, and then the sail, obviously. And they'd put, like, it looked like they had chopped the top off a small boat and just sort of plonk that in the middle. So they had a tiny, tiny bit of shelter where they could get out the wind and possibly sleep. Other than that, it was just canvas and 2 holes, which would be perfect for fishing. Yeah, I can imagine. Where would I store the boat? Yes, I will have to pay for a dock. I'm looking at swing harbours, or swing moorings, I should say, because they're a little bit cheaper. And depending on where you go and where you look, prices fluctuate quite a lot. So, yeah, there's a few options. I'll be honest with you though, Leeds. That being so close to the sea, I thought there would be more harbours and more storage spots for boats than there actually are. So the number of opportunities I have are considerably smaller than I anticipated. And this is the crazy thing about sailing, is you don't realise all of these important bits of information until you really genuinely start looking into it. So yeah, I was quite shocked. There's not that many spots at all. Not at reasonable prices anyway. There's some very expensive spots. But I have to do it all on a budget. 80s to 90s bikes were the best. I had a VFR 400. That's a 90s bike. I love that thing. XTZ 750 Super Tenor. Waiting on doing your main test. You want to save up and travel from Scotland to Mauritiana? To the eye of the Sahara. Bloody hell. What a journey, mate. What a journey. That's cool, man. Ah. Do you remember when Obi-Wan Kenobi did that motorbike journey around the world or whatever? That was really interesting. I wouldn't mind doing something like that myself, actually. Hard bloody work, though. Leeds wants a Yamaha YZF R1. You're a racer then, Leeds. You want to be racing on a bike like... You had it as a toy when you were younger. I had a friend who had a YZF R1, and he helped me out with my bike. For some reason, I can't remember what it was. I think I needed it moving from A to B, and I wasn't confident to do it, and he came and did it. But anyway, yeah, his bike, hell of a bike. What a bike. Wow. You take some pics when you go back down the bot. Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to see it, mate. You have a Yamaha Thundercat. Great bike. Yamaha Thundercat. I'm going to have to Google that. I'm going to have to ring the wife back as well, guys. It was the wife who was ringing me, but I only had a small amount of battery, so I wasn't in a rush to answer it. But I'll just go give her a quick ring. If you can look after the boat for me. Let's keep us going in a straight line. At this, we're only doing 1.9. But we should be safe. We got a fairly decent configuration. Should just cruise along at 2 knots, heading towards the safety of the bay. I'll go give the wife a ring back, and I'll be right back. And I'm going to look and see Thundercats Ho. Oh, I love that show. Schnarf. Yeah, I'll go ring the wife, and I'll be right back, guys. Well, I've got to say, guys, first time captains, you've done a fantastic job. Kept us on track. The boat is still shifting along at 3 knots. You're amazing. Brilliant. It's not an autopilot. You guys are steering this with your will. Leads. I set it up. So I've set the trim and the rudder to be in a particular configuration. And unless anything significant happens, it will just maintain a course, which is realistic to real life. If the waves were better simulated, they could push us off on the wrong direction. If there was current in the water, that would also push us off. We're hoping to see all that stuff in Sailaway 3, but in Sailaway 2, none of that really exists. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. I would like it to be more realistic, but it is what it is. Oh, bye, Thomas. I've missed loads of chat here. Sorry. You can drive your DT125 and keep up with the guys in the group that you ride with. They've all got 700s and 1200s. Bloody hell. Go in. Get a scrape in your knee. Should be a technique. The passage on the west, if the wind will maintain like that. It should do. It should hold course. I can hit it here. We're getting closer to land, guys. We're getting closer to the safety of Warren Point, Blue Anchor Bay. Leeds, yeah. Apparently, there are whales and dolphins in this game. Now, I've never seen one, but yes, I went on a cruise, the first cruise I ever went on, actually, and there was a pod of dolphins swimming along and jumping in and out of the wake that the boat was making. Such a phenomenal thing to see. So amazing. Really, really loved it. And that is something I would really like to see in my own boat, being so close to them. That would probably bring me to tears, I'll be honest with you. Such an exhilarating thing to see. Leeds, that's the thing. Falling asleep whilst you're on the helm. That is a realistic thing, and it happens to so many people so often. And so many dangerous situations have occurred because of it. So from that perspective, the game is very realistic. A basking shark washed up on the coast near Glasgow. Oh no. It was dead, was it? Shame. A wage review. What are you talking about? There's biscuits aplenty. Just go down into the galley and help yourself. That's one thing I'd really like to see in this game. And if I ever get my game developed and out, you'll be able to go into the cockpit and interact with the stuff down there. Can't do anything on this boat. It's quite limited, I think, fair to say. It's all shipshape. Paolo, got to go. Sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you for popping in. It'd be lovely to see you again. Bye-bye for now.